So I'm just going around taking out all the hardware. I'm kind of bagging it and writing down what it all goes to, because if I want anything machined or anything, I gotta kind of get all the bolts out, and I gotta clean everything up too. So, you know, I took out these bolts here that were left in the block. I took out the water pump bolts that were left in the block, and the fan bolts. And it was nice that the guy I got it from put the bolts back, so I kind of knew where they went. So I was able to write them all down. So I took these bolts out too. I'm gonna take this bracket off, and then the PCM bracket, I'm gonna take that off also. I'll probably wait on the motor mounts, but I'm just kind of pretty much taking off everything that's hanging around on the outside to strip it down to the block. And then I'll pull this tube off and the oil cooler off, and flip it over and start working on getting the crank out and see what might be wrong with that. But I'll probably leave the motor mounts on for a little bit, just in case I got to pick it up, or maybe I'll just make something to kind of hang off the head bolts. I ain't figured out exactly what I'm gonna do with it, so I'm just kind of pulling stuff off. I might have to hang it, because I don't think with the way that this is set up with the bolts like that I can get the crank off with it still on the stand, which is a little bit irritating, but I mean, it is what it is. So I'll probably have to take it all apart and then hang it. There's like a gantry crane type setup up here, so I'll probably hang it off of that while I pull the crank out, and then I'll just put it back on the stand afterwards. I wasn't initially going to pull the cam, but I believe it wouldn't be a bad idea, just because of all the scoring that was on some of these bearings. I don't know. I think it was probably an oiling issue, but I'm not exactly sure what the problem was. So I guess I got to pull the crank out, well, not the crank out, but the cam out to make sure the cam isn't all torn up too. So, yep, that's where I'm at the moment. Alright, so I pulled the oil cooler off. That's what it looks like from the back side. So, I mean, that's where the oil filter goes. And then it's just got some valleys that the oil runs through, where it comes in contact over here with the coolant of the engine. So that's where the coolant runs. This is where the oil cooler is. So basically the coolant wraps around this element here, where you got all these fins. It's kind of like a little radiator. So the coolant comes around here, and it gets all between there, and it cools off the cooler, and then the oil runs through these two passages up there and then out there, or vice versa. I don't know which direction it travels, but that's basically what it does. And that's how it cools the oil. Reason it does oil cooling, I believe, is because of the turbo. Because the oil that runs through the turbo gets hot. I mean, a turbo can get to over 1,000 degrees, so at least the exhaust gas that's coming out in through the turbo will get up to about 1,000 degrees. And then the oil that's running through the turbo gets heated quite a bit, so you got to run these oil coolers to cool it down. A little bit of rust and stuff in here. Sorry if I'm sitting without coolant in it for so long. A little. So, yeah, that's what that looks like. So you can come over here. I mean, I already had this off. You already saw that. So I'll remove this again, and then get the last couple of brackets and stuff off. And that way I can, since I can rotate it over and then continue on with the crank. Alright, so I'm going to take the oil pump out. It's for 12mm bolts, and then it comes right out. No, 13mm. Yeah, 13. I don't plan on reusing the oil pump because of the type of failure that this had. I suspect maybe the oil pump wasn't feeding well, or something else. But they're not that much, so I'll just get another one. And you can test them. Which I might do. I mean, there's ways of checking them to check the clearances. So I mean, it might not be bad. I might check it, but no, for the amount of money, I think I might just replace it, just for peace of mind. So, see. Basically. So it'll suck from this side. See how the gap gets bigger. That's as it sucks in, and then over here, it's got a hole as it gets bigger, and that gets smaller as it pushes it out. So that's how the oil pump works. That one quick. Not very controlled, but I guess that's to be expected. It was really top heavy. Alright. So we'll take a look. I'll keep disassembling this. So I gotta take off the main caps and stuff, and make sure that the rest of it isn't all galled up. See, something I don't like about these stands is, now you see how that's not straight. I mean, I can't get the pin back in there to lock it, so. But I guess it don't matter at this point in time. But yeah, I kind of knew that was gonna happen because it's, like I said, it was so top heavy that it just whipped around. So yeah, turning it that way was real easy. Getting it back might be a different story, but I mean, I might just leave it upside down because it doesn't really matter at this point in time. I gotta leave it upside down, I believe, to get all of the tappets out, or the lifters, flat tappet lifters, whatever you call them. Yeah, I mean, the cam looks like it's getting a little rust on it. It might just be some rusty water whipped out. I mean, it don't look horrible. Yeah, we'll see how it goes as we take it out. Alright, so it appears that I need to pull the cam first. So I gotta take this timing cover off so I can get the crank out. So, first thing I'm gonna do is take these two bolts out. They are, let's see, they are 13 millimeter. And I'll take the kind of the catch lock thing off, so you can remove it. Yeah, so. hard part's keeping it straight. Once you pull it off of the bearing surfaces, it drops down into the lobes, and then you got to kind of orient it so it straightens back up in there without damaging the bearings as you do it. If I can just reach in here. It looks like it is T40. On my other truck, I had a problem with this gasket breaking out. Actually, you can see it here too. It's the same thing. Right here, there is this piece of gasket that's broken, and it's not where it's supposed to be. And I wonder, because there's no hole in the gasket. So, yeah, let me show you. So my other truck had the same problem. So I picture this engine's upside down, but right here, I had an issue where the gasket material broke out of behind the timing cover. And obviously the only way to change that is to pull the cam and remove the timing cover. I mean, you have to disassemble like this whole engine to do it. So right here, you can see that this gasket is broken also, right in the same place. And I gotta wonder if, because I mean, there's no hole there. So I gotta wonder if what the problem is this screw goes in and it just kind of twists it, and then, you know, as it's turning, maybe it tears it out. But this has got the same issue. So what was happening on mine was the timing set was whipping oil, which you can see it was probably happening on this too, because you can see all the dirt and all the grime that's on here. It's pretty thick. So what happens is it just, all the timing gears whip oil out of the engine, and it just lands on the valve cover, and it runs down along the side of the valve cover. Not the valve cover, but the timing cover. So, I mean, my other truck, but what I ended up doing was I cleaned this area up all really well. I brake cleaned it and everything, and then I just pushed gasket maker and get RTV in there, and it actually sealed it up, and it's been like that for like 4 or 5 years now. So I mean, it remedied my issue, but yeah, this one has the same problem. So when I put this back together, I'm going to try to figure out what that issue is, and I'm thinking it's probably just heat and stuff, maybe, because I don't know. I don't think that obviously there's a bolt that goes through here, because you have some small bolts and some long bolts, and a lot long bolts will hold. Yeah, so see, this one isn't threaded, so these got long bolts. This one is threaded, so that's a short bolt. That's a short bolt. So basically nothing is going through here, and then this gasket's just kind of breaking and falling into the engine, sort of. So that's an issue I had with mine. It looks like it's going to be a problem with this one too. So I think I'm going to put like gasket sealer on that and actually stick it to the engine so it doesn't do that again on this one. I said it's not, it's a huge, obviously it's a huge job to change that gasket, but to just patch it with some RTV really isn't a big deal, I guess. Oh, looks like we've got these two 10s up here that hold it on also. Is it? Yeah, that's it. There's some dowels also, I guess. Voila. Pieces off. Yeah, clean this stuff up. It's all covered in crap. So you can get a better picture of what it's doing. See how that's not the way it's supposed to be. How it's tearing here. I don't know if you can see, but see how it's tearing, and it's not connected to where it's supposed to be. Obviously, over here like this, and then it just kind of broke, and then it's curling in. So basically, that's what happened. Is this whole section here broke off on mine. So that's what I put gasket maker on. So that's something to keep in mind when you're redoing these, that is a problem that I've seen now twice on the two engines I've come in contact with that are these common rail Cummins. So just something to look for. Here we go. Take a look down the bore there. And there's your flat tappet lifters. So I'll have to pull these out. They actually, you get a little discoloration where the lobes were, but all in all, I mean, I don't look too bad. Alright, so I'm going to take out these main caps. They are 18 millimeter. So when you're taking them out, you want to keep track of which ones go where and where they're numbered. like all these caps are numbered. I don't know if they come numbered from the factory or whatever, but it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They're all stamped, and they are all on the what is that? That's the exhaust side. So they're on the side opposite the crank, not the crank, but the opposite the cam. I guess I should get someplace to put these. There's going to be quite a few. Yeah, so I don't know exactly how I'm going to pull this out, because I might have to take these bolts out here to get this crank out. If I can't get it up and walk it forward a little bit, it's not going to clear these two back here, so I'll work on that. And then I'm going to take out probably these J-jets just to get them out of the way. I might have the cylinders honed while it's all taken apart. Or I might hone it myself. I mean, I've done it before. I don't think it's that hard, but I did what the book said, where you try to make a 45-degree crosshatch pattern going in and out with a drill and honing stones. But I don't know. I might just have it done when if I have the crank repaired and see what happens. Alright, so I got the crank out. I pretty much have everything removed from this engine. So I'm going to reach in there, pull out all the tappets. I'm going to separate them and bag them so they can go back where they came from. I'm going to take out the J-jet piston cooling nozzles so they don't get damaged. And I'll clean up all the gasket surfaces and all that stuff. And probably any things that I find, like debris, like rusty area. I'll just pretty much clean up the block. And then I'll probably have the cylinders honed. Or I'll hone them myself, one of the two. I haven't decided. And then I'll have to get some parts and put it back together. I got some 12-valve connecting rods to replace the common rail rods, split cap ones. I'm looking for another crank. I've come across some, but I haven't decided what I'm going to do. I might get an earlier one because they're a little bit cheaper, and then you just have the you have this dowel hole drilled, so you can put the dowel in, and then you change your gear over from this crank to the next. So that's where I'm at now. basically just have to clean everything up. I'll probably put the caps back in the block so they don't get lost and they stay with their correct position. Yeah, so let's just clean it all up and get ready to put it back together. So yeah. All right, so I got the lifters out, and I'm taking out the J-jet nozzles that are right here. So basically, I mean, they got these bolts in there. They have like these relief cuts in them, so the oil can get up past them. It's kind of like a banjo bolt, but obviously a little bit different. Don't appear to be any gaskets or anything involved. You just kind of pull them out. Looks like it just sits in the holes. So that's how you take those out. They're all 10 millimeter. So I've just been taking them out and sticking them in a bag. So after I'm done with this, that's pretty much it for disassembly, except for peeling out the gaskets and stuff and things like that. Yep. So all that's left is basically cleanup. So like I said, that's it for now for disassembly. Thank you for watching.